Welcome to CAM Radio, an ahead of the curve initiative by Cyril Amarchand Mangaldas, bringing you every Friday the latest in legal and policy. Stay tuned, enjoy listening.
Hello and a very warm welcome to everyone. I am Shrija Agrawal and you are listening to CAM Radio's Clear Cut, the podcast that is here to cut through the noise and bring clarity to the complex world of legal matters. Here is where some of the sharpest law experts would delve into the legal intricacies that shape our lives one episode at a time. In today's era of information overload, finding a reliable source of insights can actually feel like searching for a needle in a haystack. That is where Clear Cut comes in. With a top law firm like Cyril and Mangaldas at play, Clear Cut understands the importance of making sense of the legal landscape. Clear Cut is all about smart lawyers, cutting through the clutter of news and developments, offering you a trusted voice amidst the chaos. From dissecting legal policies to exploring emerging technology trends to unpacking social issues, we are here to empower you with the knowledge that counts. But this podcast isn't just about us, it is about you, our listeners, who crave meaningful insights and thoughtful discussions. We are creating a platform for ongoing dialogue where you can connect with us, ask questions, and share your perspectives. Whether you are a legal professional or someone curious about the world through a lawyer's eyes, Clear Cut has something for everyone. And I will be asking the questions that truly matter. We are not here to take sides, but to provide you with insightful content while being committed to simplifying complex topics, unpacking legal implications, and uncovering potential future outcomes, all while keeping things accessible and engaging. Together, we are here to explore the legal landscape, explore legal recourse, navigate global developments, and foster connections that transcend borders. So, are you ready to dive into the legal world with us? Are you eager to cut through the chaos and discover what truly matters? Are you ready for this journey of exploration and enlightenment? And with that, it is now time to welcome the man himself, Mr. Cyril Shroff, Managing Partner, Cyril Amarchand Mangaldas.
Hi,
Welcome,
Srija.
sir. I would really like to understand from you this entire new initiative about CAM Radio. And it is so interesting that it's sort of beginning it on the Founders' Day. Can you sort of tell me, and we can begin this conversation, as to why do you think an initiative like this is important? And then we can perhaps talk a little about the organization, the founding principles, and how it has really been a multi-generational law firm, one of its kind in this country.
Morning, Srija. So
Thank you.
today is Founders' Day for Cyril Amarchand Mangaldas, 9th August, and we celebrate it every year in the memory of my late father, Suresh Rao. And we also use it as an occasion to launch new and relevant initiatives. So today what we are launching is what we are calling CAM Radio, which is a new and innovative version of thought leadership. As you just said, there is a lot of clutter and we are all bombarded every minute of the day with social media messages, with emails and newsletters and others. And I think there is an opportunity to create something in the audio space in bite-sized installments where once a week you could get a trusted and reliable source of information on the issues of the week. It is very important to have clarity on the core legal issues of the day, and as the caption says, clarity with class. We are therefore launching this, and the format is that every Friday we'll have a brief bite-sized podcast which not only does a quick roundup of the legal and policy events of the week, but also from time to time interview well-known guests and experts on subjects of the day, one topic at a time, so that there is both brevity as well as depth. Now, Cyril Amarchand Mangaldas, or CAM, has been a firm that has always prided itself on being ahead of the curve. It's actually a part of our tagline on the firm's logo. And also a firm that has extensively and repeatedly believed, right from my father's time, in thought leadership. Ultimately, we are in a knowledge industry and in a world where there is so much change. Just being on top of legal issues is very critical and not easy at all. So you need somebody like Cam who will declutter and give you the essence of the information in a bite-sized audio form. So that's the thinking that lies behind it. We have just started this journey and we are going to continue it in the weeks and months to come. We're looking forward to suggestions and comments and feedback, and I'm pretty sure that this is going to become one of the must haves for everyone who are following the Indian legal policy environment.
Thank you for this, Mr. Shroff. This really sounds like a very interesting and innovative platform coming from Sri Amarchand Mangaldas, further sort of reaffirming your thought leadership. I also wanted to understand why audio? Why do you think that the voice of the firm is so important in an increasingly interconnected world? Do you think that the firm can gain a comprehensive understanding of the legal intricacies of cross border matters? And what really is your vision with this? Do you really think that this will become the go to platform for people to engage and seek knowledge on complex legal matters?
That's a great question, Srija. There are so many modes through which thought leadership is disseminated. Newsletters and social media postings are also one of them, and each have their uses. But from my experience, a human being is very receptive to an audio narrative, and it also matters in terms of who is saying it. When you get a depersonalized newsletter, you're not always sure of exactly who has prepared it. Whereas in an audio format, you actually have the person behind the thinking on the audio podcast. Now, whether it is me or other outside experts or multiple partners of the firm, there is a certain authenticity that comes with connecting the name and the voice in a podcast format. And audio is a very flexible medium because you could be driving, you could be cooking, you could be doing marking up a document, you could be doing anything, and the audio can continue to play in the background. You could pause it and restart it at any point of time. So, and I go back to the time, good old time, when before modern technology, all information across the world was disseminated through radio. I remember the time when we used to, whether we were watching cricket matches on the hand radio next to our ear, or we were watching, political developments across the world. It was always audio, and the mind has the ability to conjure up a visual based on the voice. So we're going to try it out, and of course, podcasts are even today quite popular. So this is our version of podcast in a clear-cut cam radio format.
That's sort of so beautifully put, sir, that you can actually conjure up images listening to the voice. And I'm very sure, coming from India's top law firm, it will definitely prove to be the voice of the firm, which will minimize the mayhem and clear chaos with class. It is so sort of fortunate that we are all able to witness this day. It is 9th August, and we began this conversation by saying that this really sort of gives you imagery of your father and the entire founding day. So, can you sort of give me a sense about the principles on which this world class law firm is being built? maybe some fond memories of your father, which sort of keeps going on and on, passed from one generation to another.
Thank you for that, Shrija. So, even as our firm descriptive materials remind us that the firm is founded on the three C's: character, competence, and commitment. And these three C's have held us in good stead over multiple decades. It's not easy to have any organization, including a law firm, survive a century and continue to remain so relevant.
Wow.
And it can never happen unless there are strong values, and the whole firm is built around values as the basis of its existence and the reason and raison d'etre of why it exists. So I think it is firstly about the core values that we live and practice every single day, and the entire organization sees this flowing from the top. That's one. Now, you also asked me about my late father, and I think he has been a great source of inspiration for me because he personified integrity, he personified hard work. I still think he's the hardest working person I have met in my life, and those who have worked with him during his tenure will bear testimony for that. Because he always used to believe that there is no shortcut to success. There is only one route to it, which is hard work, hard work, hard work. He never wasted a single minute of the day, always trying to catch up with his commitments to clients as well. So the memories that I have of him are all revolving around the values. He was also a very strong family man. I think the family was everything to him. And he therefore didn't have too many distractions and diversions. It was either work or family. And that kind of gave him a certain sense of simplicity and focus in his life. And I can say that we are what we are because of that sound value system based foundation that was laid by my parents. And that's why, we continue to survive and thrive despite being such a long standing firm. Most organizations don't survive one or two generations.
True.
We're already into our fourth generation.
I have to sort of dwell further on this about being fourth generation law firm. And one of the most important things you spoke about are values. I also want to sort of spend a little bit of time on values and leadership here. You really come across being somebody who wants to change all the time. You want to imbibe a little bit of bite-sized changes or large changes. What is the thought pattern? What is it that keeps you going like this? And why do you think that innovation should form the central DNA of a legal firm? Is this what can set one law firm apart from the other? In this world where the leadership meaning is changing so fast, I mean, how do you stay relevant? And what really is that leadership trait which makes you and the firm on the whole differentiated then?
That's a great question. And Shrija, it's not just about law firm, it's about any organization. You have to constantly disrupt yourself. You constantly have to keep looking around corners. And I don't know of any organization that has stayed relevant over a long period of time unless it is continuously innovating every single day in some way or the other. Now, it doesn't mean innovation for the sake of innovation, but it is about putting a thoughtfulness behind it. I think that the underlying innovation is a culture of curiosity. Now, one of the things which I can kind of say about myself is I'm a extremely curious person about everything, whether it is relating to the law or not. And that incessant curiosity is something which keeps driving me to try new things. Now, whether it was, going back 25 years in terms of how we played a big role in inventing what we call the modern legal industry in India, how our approach is to technology, India's first legal tech incubator, or many other pieces of innovation that we actually brought to even to our legal work. So it is about being restless, it is about being curious, and it is about acknowledging a core reality that what works today will not work tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. So I have to ask you this. You sort of spoke about being curious all the time, being able to disrupt yourself, coming up with new innovations and ideas. But amidst all this, do you also think that there's a constant need for introspection? Because more often than not, leaders and sort of really learning large, complex organizations can also fall into the trap of something called confirmation bias or biases all the time. How does one really clear his or her mind from those biases? I mean, running a firm which is century old now, which is into its fourth generation, there must be instances where you're constantly overcoming your biases and you have perhaps emerged stronger. Can you give us one or two examples, perhaps, on where you have deeply introspected yourself and that could have metamorphosed that as a firm level, and those introspections have actually helped the firm where it is right now?
What a great question that is, Shrija. So, first and foremost, you need a healthy dose of humility.
Wow.
Unless you are humble, you will never be able to see the other side of you as well. And I think part of what comes out of being curious and, if I can say so, insecure, is a dose of humility as well. And it is, people underestimate how strategic an asset actually humility is. So, at one level, I don't take myself seriously at all. I know that success, or success for the moment, can disappear in a flash. So that's one. The second, I think I pride myself, though I can do better, is I listen. Listening is such a powerful tool, and as I always tell my firm, God has given you 2 ears and one mouth, and try to use it in that proportion. So listening continues to remain important. And if I can say so, also my strongest critic and perhaps my greatest friend is my wife Vandana. She makes sure that I don't take myself too seriously at any point of time, and she will show me parts of myself or about what work I'm doing that I can't see, because it's kind of, you're blindsided to it. So it's great also to surround yourself with people, whether it is your friends, your family, or others, who will constantly tell you the real picture. But you have to create an environment in which people can tell you the truth. I get criticized every single day. And I think that's probably the reason why my decisions are better.
Wow. So, this entire culture of being very open to ideas and feedback and criticism, and what better than having your better half really telling you at every step of the way what you should have done better and what you could do better. And
Yes.
perhaps that is what is the amalgamation of values and innovation, what we are seeing at CAM. So, you also spoke about introspection, leadership, what could have gone wrong, what keeps you going. My last question to you really is that, as somebody who is such a top voice in the legal industry on this auspicious day of Founders Day, what would be your dispatch to, of course, people in your firm who are listening, but also to the larger legal industry? What would that really be? We're talking about 2023 right now. So much has happened, either by way of technology or complexity in the world. So, if you were to have this message on this day, what would that really be?
So I personally believe, and I've said this many times within the firm as well, is that we are living through the golden period of professional services and legal services. The manner in which society and economies and business and the state has evolved in the last 2 or 3 decades has enhanced the need for sophisticated advice, of which legal advice is one part of it. So we are lucky to have been placed at this moment by fate in terms of a period of tremendous growth. So the opportunity is there. Also, when you're sitting in India, you're probably sitting in the country which has the most potential. I don't need to repeat this in terms of, India is rising, India is destined for great things as well. So when you combine the opportunity, the golden period of legal and professional services with the Indian opportunity, so long as you kind of play your cards right, there's only one way forward, which is up. So, my advice to answer your question, my advice to the folks in my firm as well as folks in the industry is to repeat what a very famous person once said: stay hungry, stay foolish. Uh, that continues to be, I think, one of the most simple and powerful messages for for growing within this. There is unlimited potential. Approach the approach your career, approach the marketplace with a growth mindset, with a mentality of abundance, not of scarcity, and have your priorities right in terms of what you want to achieve and the impact that you wish to have on society. The legal profession is a very privileged and a very powerful profession. We have boardroom access. We have important parts of government and policy environment who listen to us. We are able to fight for and correct injustice. These are not small things, and therefore I think the legal profession needs to also recognize the tremendous responsibility that is placed upon them. I have been fortunate to have been given the steering wheel of this firm to take it forward, and I'm far from done. I think there's so much potential as well, and I think on this occasion of Founders Day, I'm delighted to be able to kind of rededicate myself to this sense of purpose and ambition. Our purpose statement, it is to produce the finest lawyers for a just world, and each of these expressions are pregnant with meaning. It's also about justice. It's also about creating a better world. So that's how it's our purpose is not just to make money. That is a side effect of the work that we do. If we're able to leave an impact, we'll last another 100 years.
Wow, that's sort of so well said, that pursue your career, your job, the industry with a mindset of abundance and not scarcity, and how India is so well positioned in the next decade to come. This is definitely a top law innovation coming from a top law firm, and I feel myself so sort of positioned well and privileged to bring this to life and play a small part in putting this together. I'm very, very sort of confident that this will become the voice of the firm and actually set a standard for the legal industry. Until the time we hear from our listeners next time, I wish all of you goodbye and good luck. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll come up with a new episode, fresh perspective on the legal industry, uncomplicating the policy and the tech developments for you every Friday. Thank you for joining in, Mr. Shroff.
Thank you, Shrija.